Namaste. Good evening. This is Dr. Aparna. I am an Ayurvedic psychotherapist. I am a passionate Ayurveda and psychotherapy infopreneur and medical writer. In my pursuit to address, promote, and propagate Ayurveda and psychotherapy globally, I come up with discussions and talk throughs on Ayurveda, psychotherapy, mental health, and related aspects. So, in the previous sessions, we were discussing on mind as per Western psychology. We were discussing theories of mind. We discussed psychoanalytical theory, cognitive theory, and today's topic of discussion is behavioral theory. So, if somebody have to say talk about theory of mind, this allows one to attribute thoughts, desires, and intentions to others. So, theory of mind, to predict or explain their actions and to post their intentions. So, this enables all of us to understand that mental states can be the cause of and can be used to explain and predict the behavior of others. So, theory of mind, you know, is a branch of cognitive science that investigates how we, ascribe to mental states to other persons and how we use the states to explain and predict the actions of those other people. So, more accurately, this, is mentalizing or mentalistic abilities. So, today we are discussing behavioral theory. So, this was proposed by B.F. Skinner, and what this theory focuses is it focuses on observable behaviors and how they are shaped by the environment. That means it emphasizes the role of reinforcement in the form of rewards and punishment in learning. So, for example, think of think that we are training a dog. You are training a dog, and when the dog exhibits the desired behavior, that means you give a command sit, or you give a command go and collect the ball. So when the dog exhibits the desired behavior, you reward it with a treat. That treat here is called reinforcement, with reward reinforcement. So what happens is this increases the likelihood of the dog repeating the behavior. That means the next time also, if you give a command, it will obey that command. So similarly, in the case of a human, a child might stop whining. That means whining is an undesired behavior, sobbing. So if they don't receive attention, so toddlers most of the time want attention, right? If they, if you have to stop whining or an undesired behavior, crying or repeatedly, asking for a thing, if you don't give them the attention, that itself is the punishment here. So that what the child will do, that it will go into the child's mind that my crying or whining is not helping here. And another example could be you consistently praise your child for good grades or for the efforts your child is putting. And that is also a reinforcement, a reward reinforcement. So, encouraging them to continue studying, that means learning. So this, behavioral theory is all about learning through consequences. This theory is also called as, operant conditioning. That means this theory suggests that our behaviors are shaped by the consequences we experience. As I said here, training a dog, dog with treats. So this is an operant conditioning here. So in the same way, some it could be applied to humans as well. That means the ABCs of behavior, if we have to understand, this is a cycle. So the antecedent is the situation or the cue that triggers a behavior, and the behavior is the action you take, and the consequence here, it is A, B and C. So antecedent, behavior and consequence. So the consequence here is the outcome of your action, so which can be reinforcing or rewarding, like increases the likelihood of the child or anybody repeating the behavior. Or punishing, what it does is it decreases the likelihood. Punishing here, remember, is not a harsh punishment. Just taking away a privilege can also be a punishment. Punishing here should not be harsh punishment. Just keep in mind. So learning through reinforcement is, there are two types here. So one is positive reinforcement, and another one is negative reinforcement. So for positive reinforcement is rewarding a desired behavior to make it more likely to happen. That means clicker training. So for example, trainers use a clicker to mark a desired behavior. See, this behavior theory is maybe explained, mostly these examples what I'm saying could be of dogs, or the animals, but this can also be done in humans as well. But the thing is, you have to also understand that this should not be only your child, or the dog should not repeat a desired behavior or only because of the reward it is getting. You have to keep that in mind as well. This is the drawback also of this behavioral theory. But it is useful in most of the scenarios, and it is not applicable in some scenarios as well. So any theory could have advantages and limitations as well. So here trainers, what they do is they use a, for understanding positive reinforcement here, what they do is trainers use a clicker to mark a desired behavior. Like if a dog sits, or dog goes and gets the ball, or some you have thrown something, you want it to get them back, and then immediately reward it with a treat. This is called, this is positive reinforcement. This also strengthens the association between the behavior and the reward. So, the next thing is negative reinforcement. So, removing an unpleasant stimulus after a desired behavior. So, making the behavior more likely to again, happen again, to avoid the unpleasantness. So, what we do is taking out the trash. So, maybe taking out the trash avoids the unpleasant consequence of a smelly kitchen. So, this negative reinforcement strengthens the association between taking out the trash and avoiding the unpleasant odor. So, for example, if you want to avoid an unpleasant odor from your kitchen, what you do is you take out that trash and you just throw it out. So and this is a negative reinforcement. So for a consequence to happen, so what is the consequence is unpleasant smelly kitchen. For it to not happen, what you are doing is you are taking out the trash and avoiding the unpleasant odor. See, this is one of the example. So this is negative reinforcement. So if we have to understand punishment here, punishment also can play a role. That means punishment here is not in a harsh punishment. Don't take it as beating or like that. So delivering an unpleasant consequence after an undesired behavior. So what this happens is making this behavior less likely to happen. For example, a child might get a timeout for throwing a tantrum. So if the child is throwing a tantrum for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you can get you can a child can get time out. So this, what this does is, this is intended to decrease the likelihood of future tantrums. That means you are not paying attention to those tantrums, and you are, um for an undesired behavior, you are delivering an unpleasant consequence, that is timeout. So punishment also, it is very important to understand, as I said, punishment can have drawbacks, because punishment, what it does, it creates negative emotions. So you have to be very careful when you are punishing. When we say punish, it should not be very harsh. It could be just taking away the screen time, taking away the watch time on the mobiles or iPads. It could be as simple as that, you know to make the an undesired, for an undesired behavior, just an unpleasant consequence, so that the child does not repeat that again. So here, this theory has, I as I said, has advantages and also has drawbacks. So this Skinner's behavior theory, has been applied in various settings, so from animal training to education, to child education, and even in the video games. So by understanding, how consequences influence behavior, we shape, our own actions and those around us. So how the consequences, desired or undesired, pleasant or non-pleasant, influence the behavior. So in the same way, so um here, for example, if we have to take some examples of how it can be used, imagine an adult, a girl, who wants to learn how to bake a delicious chocolate cake. This is a scenario. So here, positive reinforcement, according to this theory, behavior theory, could be when the person when this girl successfully completes a step in the recipe. That is, it could be mixing of the dry ingredients, or baking, or whatever it is. She feels a sense of accomplishment. It is an accomplishment, and that is positive reinforcement. What it does is, it motivates her to continue. Then shaping, first is positive reinforcement, the next step is shaping. That means, if the recipe requires multiple complex steps, so baking a delicious chocolate cake requires multiple steps. So this girl might start practicing simpler tasks first, like measuring ingredients. So as she masters these measuring ingredients, then she gradually moves on to more challenging, steps. The next thing is punishment, the potential punishment. What it could be, if the girl accidentally spills a ingredient, the negative outcome here is the just wasting of the ingredient. So this discourages her from repeating the mistake, that is the act of spilling it accidentally. She'll be more careful the next time, that's it. So, though, see, through these processes, the girl learns the recipes, steps, and enjoys the positive reinforcement of baking a tasty cake. So, this is an example. A second example could be a teenager. If for example, consider a teenager, a boy who needs to study for an upcoming biology exam. According to this theory, the positive reinforcement here is when the boy gets a good grade on a practice test, that is positive reinforcement. He is more likely to dedicate time to studying for actual exam, because he has got a good grade. That is a positive reinforcement that is motivating him, to study, more for the actual exam. The next thing is, if the child initially avoids studying but experiences negative consequences, for example bad grades on quizzes or practice tests, so his avoidance behavior might weaken, as he realizes the importance of studying, even if in the shaping stage, he avoids studying. When he actually gets bad grades on his practice tests, his the behavior, which is the avoidance behavior, will weaken because he realizes the importance of studying. And the negative reinforcement in this scenario could be the boy might dislike studying. That means negative stimulus, but the desire to avoid a bad exam grade is a negative reinforcement. So to avoid that, it you know it this motivates him to focus on the material. By understanding all these, this boy can develop effective study habits for future exams. So in this way, behavioral theory can be used here as well. So a third example, so imagine a toddler, a 2 3 year old girl who is taking her first a 1 year old, maybe a 1 year old, that means who is taking her first few steps, she's starting to walk. So a positive reinforcement could be here is when the child or the toddler successfully takes a step, that is a positive reinforcement, so her parents cheer and praise her, so that is further reinforcement. So what it does is when you cheer or when you encourage, this keeps her, helps her keep trying again and again and again. So then here shaping comes. That means the child might initially crawl or hold on to furniture for support or walk with a walker. As the child gains confidence, she practices taking short steps without assistance. So, gradually progressing towards independent walking. So, this might take time. See, punishment in the case here is everywhere, as I said, physical punishment is not required. That means here it is not necessary that every time she, is trying to walk, she has to fall. Sometimes she falls, sometimes you might hold, sometimes she might, take some support. So what happens is if every time the child falls, what happens is it can create anxiety and it could hinder learning, because if the child keeps falling and hurting, then the child will lose the confidence to get back up and to walk. So it is not recommended here to every time that the child falls you should let her fall. No, you can support her, the child can take support of the stool or table or anything. So positive reinforcement for getting back up is more effective. Then you have to encourage the child to get back up, so that is more effective. So through positive reinforcement and the shaping which is required, the toddler learns to walk confidently. So, this theory emphasizes the importance of consequences in shaping behavior. So, we are, when we understand how positive reinforcement works, how negative reinforcement works, how what is punishment, and punishment is not physical punishment, I repeat. So and how this can all these can influence actions and behavior, so we can create more effective learning environments for people of all ages by using behavioral theory. So, as I said, every theory will have its own advantages and drawbacks. So, thanks for staying tuned. This brings to the end of the session, and I'll meet you again in the next session. If you have any queries or any concerns Or if you want to share your thoughts on this, please do in the comment section. Thank you. Namaste.